Alright guys, lecture 11 here. Today we're going to talk about vertical angles, parallel lines, and transversals. I'm going to go straight into some examples. The algebra part that you're going to be expected to do is probably going to confuse some of you, but let's cover vertical angles first. Definition of vertical angles, guys, pretty simple. Okay. Vertical angles are congruent angles, and they are formed by two intersecting lines, okay, which I've already drawn up here, and they are across, if I can spell across right. Actually, I didn't spell it right. The intersecting point. Okay. So, first thing, let's just locate that intersection point. Alright. So, if you got two lines that intersect at any one point, as long as they are two lines, we see that the two angles across from each other, across the intersecting point, are the exact same size. So if I wanted to say that this angle was 159 degrees, I'm just spitting out random numbers. The angle across that intersection point is also 159. Okay? So guys, definition, vertical angles, okay, they're congruent. It takes two intersecting lines and their intersection point to form vertical angles, and we can use this to help find missing angle measures. If we looked at finding these two angle measures, it'd be pretty easy to do because now we have the supplementary angle, the straight line angle, okay, which is 180 degrees, and all we'd have to do if we wanted to find x right there is take 180, because that's a straight line, minus 159, and that gives me, I believe, 21 degrees. So there's angle x, if that was a missing angle measure. Now, we could go directly across using vertical angles and say that this angle is also 21 degrees. Okay? Now, guys, when you watch these videos, make sure that you pause, rewind, whatever you have to do, because I'm telling you, it's pretty simple to watch a video and hit pause and maybe write down some questions that you have, if you have to ask me. Let's look at another example here. Now what we got for this example is parallel lines. Parallel lines, guys, they stay the same distance apart. They never touch, okay? And the line that cuts through these parallel lines is called the transversal. And I got it labeled T down below. All right? Now in this example, I'm going to give you one angle measure. And with that given angle measure, you should be able to tell me what all the angles are. Okay? Now, let's just say that angle right there is 45 degrees, and they want you to find, daggone it, angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. Okay? Let's say they want you to find those four angle measures. Well, first of all, I could use vertical angles and easily find angle 2. Okay, so angle 2 is going to be, now I'm going to change colors here, let's go green, 45 degrees here. So this angle opens up the same way as this angle. And guys, if you really took a snapshot, since these two lines, L1 and L2, are parallel, if you took a snapshot of this it's going to be the same thing down here. Okay, so this one's also going to be 45 degrees. And then angle 4, using the vertical angle theorem, is also going to be 45 degrees. Now the question is, how do we figure out angle 1 and 3? Well, there's that straight line right there. Okay, so I'm thinking this 45 degree angle plus angle 1 is going to form a straight line. So I'm going to come over to the side and write 180 minus 45. That equals 135 degrees. So angle 1 is 135 degrees. Now, vertical angle, come across through here, that is also 135 degrees. Now, remember I said take that snapshot of this line 1 and everything in the line 2 and the transversal intersection is going to be the same size. Excuse me. So this is 135 degrees. Okay, Diet Pepsi really just makes your burp smell. So snapshot, 135 degrees there. Vertical angle, going vertical across that intersection point. This tells me that angle 3 is 135 degrees. Okay, now let's look at this next example. Now we're going to get into the big boy, big girl stuff. Let's go, I want to make this up. Let's say this angle is 2x plus 15, and this angle is x minus 35. And we got to find the value of x and the angle measure. Okay. Now, by definition, these two angles are vertical. All right. Now this is where this is going to test your algebra skills. So, stepping away, I'm going to have to get a calculator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have to set up an equation because it don't really give simple numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the vertical angle. You know, they're congruent. They're the same size. And since they're vertical, I'm going to write these equations or expressions, set them equal to each other. Since they're the same size, that's what one would do. So I have x minus 35 over here. Now, we're going to be able to solve for x. Geometry, guys, is an upgraded form of algebra. Okay, you turn everything geometric. You use formulas and basic definitions to turn it into some algebra. Okay, so right now I'm just solving this equation. You know, I don't know what you guys remember, but I'm going to take all my variables to the left side. So you got 1x here plus 15 equals negative 35. And you might get something crazy. I'm going to get something crazy here, but I'm going to go with it. You might get a negative number, which, you know, might sound silly. I'm just going to go through the motions here. All right. So 1x equals negative 50. Now, because I made this up, guys, it's not really going to work out pretty because now it's saying I have negative, I'm going to have a negative x. If I had to find the angle measure, I would plug in my x that I got into one of these and figure out my angle measure. Now, I'm going to tell you that this don't work out pretty because if I do that, this is what's going to happen. Since I got negative 50 for x, and I plug and chug, I got 2 times 1, negative 50 is negative 100, plus 15 it tells me that my angle measure is negative 85 degrees. Now, because I'm just kind of winging this, you're not going to have a negative angle measure. There's no such thing. And you could literally plug it into this one, and you should get negative 85 as well. I'm just going to check it to make sure my algebra is right. Negative 50 minus 35 is negative 85. So I didn't really plan this one out, but that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to set up the equations, the vertical angles, and figure this out. All right? Figure out the x, and once you figure out x, then you just plug and chug. Now this last example is going to be a little bit better. All right? I'm going to put this angle measure as 150 degrees. And let's put this one as 3x minus 10. Okay. I want to figure out the angle measure of this. Okay. Now, with this being vertical angles, I know that it's going to work out pretty good because I know they're congruent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my equation. 3x minus 10, what's that congruent to? The 150. Why is that? Because they are vertical angles. Now I can add 10 to both sides, add 10. Okay, cross out, cancel out. That gives me 160. So 3x equals 160. I'm going to have to bring it down here. Do opposite, be fair. I'm going to have to divide both sides by 3. Okay, 160 divided by 3 is 53 1/3. Okay, that's my x. Now I can just plug and chug right here. Well, if I plug in 53 1/3 in for x, then minus 10, well, guess what I should get? I should get 150 degrees because this and this are vertical angles. Okay, take that snapshot. This would be 150. This would be 150. Well, this is also going to equal 150. Now I can check it. 3 times 53, ABC1, ABC3. I like to check my work. Minus 10, that equals 150. All right. Last example, just to kind of give you one last scenario that I know you're going to have on the DMP. Let's go with 3x plus 20, and this angle be x minus 10. Well, I want to find x and the missing angles. Okay. Well, first of all, let's just find x. Now, what do we know about these? Are these two angles vertical? Complementary, supplementary? Well, by definition, if I look at those two angles, if I add them together, well, that gives me a straight line. And if you remember from lecture 10, we're going to have supplementary angles. So I'm going to take this angle, 3x plus 20, plus x minus 10, set that equal to 180 degrees. Now, if there's not one there, you got it, put one there. We're going to combine like terms, okay? So I got 3x plus 1x. Always box in the sign in front of the number. That way I know whether to plus or minus. 3x plus 1x is 4x. Let's use a different color here. Positive 20, be careful with signs, minus 10, okay, that is plus 10, and that equals 180. Now I can box it, line it, solve. And you may not get pretty answers with these guys, okay? Knowing me, without thinking it through and just winging it, this one probably ain't going to be that pretty. So I'm going to divide by 4. I got 170 divided by 4. Let me punch it in on calculators to be sure I'm right. So you got 42.5. Well, that equals x. So I found x. Now, with these two angles here, they're going to be different sizes because they're not congruent. They are supplementary. Now, I'm going to find 3x plus 20 first. Let's write 3x plus 20. And I'm going to plug in my 42.5 in parentheses plus 20. Now, this will give me the angle measure for that obtuse angle. Okay, now I calculated 147.5 degrees. Guys, deal with it. You're going to get ugly answers. Okay, especially if I'm making them up. So I got 147.5 degrees. Now, I'm going to label that as 147.5 degrees. Now, you can do one of two things. You know that these two are supplementary. I could go and take 180 minus 147.5, okay, and make things a lot easier and say that angle measure is 32.5 degrees. Well, that should add up to be 180. But, or I could take x minus 10 to find the angle. So if I did, because that's the measure of the second angle here, x minus 10, plug and chug. What did I get for x? 42.5 minus 10. That equals 32.5 degrees. All right. So guys, it is what it is, and it's going to be a long season for the Buckeyes. So, guys, watch this video, take good notes, and I'll see you later.